Good afternoon. For the 6 of you seated and the rest of you watching, my name is Chris Henley. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes talking about what I think is the coolest technology on the planet. It's called Veeam for the Microsoft Cloud. As we talk, we have a couple of goals that I'd like to reach with you. First off, I want to be able to help you understand what exactly is Veeam for the Microsoft Cloud. Some of you want to come up on stage with me. I saw you over there. We'll talk about what is Veeam for the Microsoft Cloud. I'll talk to you about some of the innovative solutions that have come to the marketplace and some that we'll bring to the marketplace a little bit later this year that will continue to help us innovate and maybe disrupt our market just a little bit more. Data is the thing that enables digital life. We talk about three key concepts called hypergrowth, hypercriticality, and hypersprawl. The ideas behind hypercriticality, hypergrowth, and hypersprawl are really pretty simple. They tell us, or we see, that inside of an organization, data continues to grow faster than we anticipated or faster than we even could have expected. We see that data growing in some cases more than 50 times what we had expected, maybe even in a short period of time, like a couple of years. Because of that constant growth, we see the more and more critical or hypercritical realities around making that data available. It has to be available anytime, anywhere, on any device, and under any circumstances. And of course, it could be located anywhere, and that's why we call it hypersprawl. Hypersprawl simply means that the data has to be available in any of the three cloud operations that a customer might use. That could be on-premises, in a private cloud environment, in a hybrid or managed cloud scenario, or in a public cloud environment. I want to introduce you to what we call the 5 stages of data management. First stage is really simple and straightforward. We start talking about backup. Everybody is familiar with this. We call Veeam a backup company. Many of you know us because of our backups. Those backups are great, but let's be honest, if you can't make them, it's because you haven't learned how to use a Microsoft SDK. Microsoft's really clear in helping us back up products. The backup is the initial phase of what we'll call the 5 stages of intelligent data management. Stage 2 is aggregation. Aggregation has to do with being able to understand what data we have, what data we need to protect, how we might go about protecting it, and where we might store it. Aggregating data together to be able to make it useful or available. Stage 3 is called visibility, and in the visibility stage, we start to think about where we put things and why we put them there. Some things demand that they be left in an on-premises environment. Some things demand that they go into a cloud-based environment. The way that we structure data, the fact that we can see all of it wherever it resides, and then we can actually make use of that data, whether it's for recovery situations, whether it's to build insights about the data, all of that comes under visibility. Orchestration is what we do with the data when there is a problem. We're used to the idea of creating backups and then doing restores. We're not as used to the idea we should understand what we're going to do before we actually do it. Orchestration lets us predefine what actions will occur in the event of a disaster, or in the event of a data loss, or in the event of downtime. Last but not least, we talk about something called automation, and automation is truly the artificial intelligence associated with backup data. Now, when we think about backing up data today, oftentimes we'll hear individuals say, oh, well, we'll use an artificial intelligence solution to help protect the data. And what they really mean is we've thought about things which would occur in stage 4, orchestration. When we think about stage 5 with automation, when we truly use artificial intelligence in conjunction with data, we start thinking about data that has components built into it that will help make it more highly available. We're talking about data that understands security protocols, virus patterns, that understands what ransomware is and how to avoid it. We're talking about data that understands and can actually see what's happening and react to what's occurring without human interference. Those concepts of automation are things that we're still developing. We can see some of the early phases of artificial intelligence in conjunction with data in a highly available environment. But frankly speaking, most of those things are still out on the horizon for us. Let me talk to you about the availability platform and some of the things that we've done to advance towards those AI solutions. In a Veeam environment, we use something called the Hyper Availability Platform. It's easy for us to review and easy for you to understand. We're used to the traditional options of backup and recovery, replication and failover, disaster recovery scenarios, and the ability for us to have continuous or business continuity solutions. In an availability platform, one of the things that we've worked on and actually made available is the use of something called universal APIs to help facilitate our operations on an availability platform. We've also added something called Data Labs. Data Labs gives us the capability to actually do validation of data, manage that data, and actually do things with it in an isolated or sandbox style environment. We extend that capability up and add things like cloud-based services, software as a service applications, and of course extend those options to our physical workloads, so that when you're working with Veeam, you're working with virtual, physical, and cloud-based workloads all in the same software suite. Having that integrated focus lets us really be practical and valuable to our business. We talked a little bit about orchestration, and as we move into a public cloud environment, orchestration becomes more and more valuable to our business. We need to be able to structure, particularly the public cloud operations, of availability in our environment. We use intelligent automation to do that, and Veeam has done that probably as well or better than anyone. There are 4 key components in a Veeam and Azure environment that I want to kind of introduce to you. First is the idea of extending the data center to Microsoft Azure. Today, a Veeam customer will likely look at their backup environment and they'll start to make determinations about the fact that they're using current offsite archives, whether they're disk or tape based, to provide them with long-term archiving solutions. In a Veeam environment, that customer has additional options. They'll extend that data center out to the cloud, specifically to Microsoft Azure, and use it as a first step to replace those offsite archives. They might also consider extending their remote office or business office environments to Microsoft Azure as well. He almost got volunteered to be a part of my presentation. The next person who walks across will be volunteered to participate. I will shake their hand and we will talk. Now I'm praying for somebody to walk across. You can extend your remote office, branch office environment for data storage into Microsoft Azure. You can back up and restore anything to Azure, and this is where our customers really start to love the value of Veeam. You can back up on-premises virtual machines or physical machines, archive them to Azure, and even restore them into an Azure environment. Now you have running workloads in an Azure environment. You can effectively use Veeam backup and replication as a tool to do migration to Microsoft Azure. Last but not least, I told you that we do SaaS-based protection as well, so availability for Office 365 is a key component to our Azure story. In this case, Veeam offers the ability to do point-in-time recovery. You'll never lose access to your email. You can always go back to a specific point in time, recover email, or take your mailbox back to exactly the way that it was, say, yesterday. We also offer great e-discovery utilities and the ability to unify both an on-premises Exchange environment and an O365 environment by allowing the customer to back up and recover items between those two environments. Since last year, we added agent management, which is now generally available in all Veeam software. We also added the ability to use the Universal Storage API. We talked about that earlier. The top request from all of you and from all of our customers is the ability to extend object support for the archive tier in Microsoft Azure. Now that object support is going to come at the end of this year. I say will be available this year. We're going to get it as a Christmas present. That functionality will give us the capability to extend something called scale-out backup repositories into object storage in Microsoft Azure. Now, before you stop and say, well, that's cool, you've now invented something that all of your competitors have, you're right, but we've gone a step further. And the reason that you've waited for this, and I've waited for it too, is because we wanted to be able to not just have the functionality, but actually innovate the functionality so that it's something that you can use. Let me talk to you about why and how this is valuable to you and I. So we're going to use scale-out backup repositories as a mechanism to get data from your on-premises environment into Microsoft Azure's object storage, blob storage. Now, traditionally speaking, in a blob storage environment, you move a large chunk of data, let's say it's 16 gigabytes in size, you put it into that blob storage environment. It has a very low ingress cost. It doesn't cost you much of anything to get the data there. Microsoft, by its design, has said that blob storage has a cost associated with egress, which you take out of the store. Now, it doesn't make sense to me, or to our engineers for that matter, to have you put 16 gigabytes of data into a store, knowing that the logic here is that you will not take 16 gigabytes out of the store. Instead, you'll probably go for a granular recovery operation, and today, based on the existing structure of object stores, your only option would be to take out all 16 gig, which means you would take all of the associated cost of egress that goes with it. With scale-out backup repositories in Veeam, the scale-out backup repositories will maintain the metadata. You'll have a dehydrated set of data effectively on premises. When you move to a scale-out backup repository in object storage in Azure, you'll move 16 gigabytes there. When you're ready to recover 20K files, you'll take the 220K files out based on the metadata that you already have in the containers in your Sober archive, pull out those 40K's worth of files and pay the egress charges on 40K. So you get granular recovery out of a scale-out backup repository in Microsoft Azure's object storage. I think it's a game changer. As we move forward, we're expecting that you're going to use scale-out backup repositories in object storage to extend your availability with Veeam and with Microsoft Azure. We talk about cloud mobility, and this is kind of a final concept, if you will, for today. Cloud mobility is becoming very important. We're not thinking so much from a customer perspective or from a provider perspective about where a workload resides, as much as we're thinking about whether or not we actually have access to and can use the workload. The workload might reside on premises. It might reside in Microsoft Azure. It might reside in a managed service provider's environment. As long as the connectivity is there and the customer can get access to the data, we're going to call that available. From a Veeam perspective, we're interested in this idea of cloud mobility, the ability for us to use Veeam backup and replication to restore to Microsoft Azure or to restore on premises, to use tools like Veeam PN, Veeam-powered networks, to be able to maintain connectivity to those workloads regardless of where they sit. We call that concept Veeam Cloud Mobility, and it's incredibly important to us when we start moving forward thinking about workloads and making them available. From a summary perspective, we've talked about enabling cloud backup to Azure. We've talked about protecting Office 365 and email data in Azure. We've talked a little bit about the Azure Blob components and storage with a scale-out backup repository. We think this is going to have a 10x influence on the way that we save because of the way that we draw data out and eliminate egress costs. We've talked about any backup to Azure. We also will support something called Azure Stack. When we think about Veeam, we continue to innovate. We're going to continue to disrupt in the marketplace. We're going to continue to push towards those three clouds and the Surface unit that you hear from our Microsoft executives over and over again. You'll hear the same thing from Veeam: an on-premises availability solution, a hybrid cloud availability solution, a public cloud availability solution, and the ability to have mobility between all three. We've got some incredible solutions. What I would ask of you is the following. Please don't take my word for it. Try these yourself. If you're interested in trying out our scale-out backup repositories to object storage, come over and visit us at our booth. We're over at booth number 800 right over there. Talk with one of our engineers. Tell them you want to be a part of that beta testing, and we'll happily include you. Come and visit us tomorrow. I'll actually do demonstrations along with my counterpart, Matt Carpenter, of all of the solutions that we've talked about here. We'll do that tomorrow afternoon, and that'll be room 312 here in this building tomorrow at 2:15. Leverage the available resources that are associated with this particular slideshow. This is available in the Ignite app. Go download it. You're welcome to use all of the items that are here. Last but not least, let me thank you for spending 20 fun-filled minutes talking about Veeam. I'll hang out up here after the official presentation is over, and we will take some questions. Sound good? Hey, enjoy the rest of your day here at Ignite.